They did another Final Fantasy expansion.
Mm-hmm. They
You
did.
might, yeah, big games coming out with the word D or starting with the letter D
Yes.
that both of us would be interested in. So, welcome to
Yes.
the D's of July.
I was gonna say the double D's, but we're not gonna go that route. Whoops.
Oh boy. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Season Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Lady
Hello.
This is episode 394, and we're gonna talk about Final Fantasy 14 Dawntrail, or at least as much as I can talk about it without just like going for 3 hours in depth about it. We're not gonna go super in depth. This is going to be a very brief synopsis of it and just like talk about some of the new changes and what I think about the expansion as a whole so far, and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people that coming at you again being like, well, if you want someone to really talk about Final Fantasy 14, I could help you out. Like what happened last time. But anyways, yes, Dawntrail came out on July the 2nd. It was in early access a couple days beforehand. If you pre-ordered it, you got to be like, play it early and test the servers essentially, which was nice. Not a whole lot of waiting along. Blah, 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 blah.
Three, two, one.
It's been a day. It has been a day. Not a whole lot of waiting around in queue this time around, unlike the last expansion, which I think was partially because it was COVID still.
Mm-hmm.
Like the height of COVID still, and also they had time to beef up the servers in case this happened again. So I remember the Friday night, which was like the first day of early access, like I had to wait in like 20 minutes in a queue, and then basically after that it was totally fine, which was very nice.
Nice.
You love to see that.
Love to see it.
Yeah, this is the 5th expansion of Final Fantasy 14.
Wow.
It's a lot of expansions. This is their first expansion they've done since they wrapped up their big overarching story that they had been doing since 1.0 in the last expansion. So this is basically them kicking off a fresh slate of story and a fresh start for them, which is interesting. It was very I was very curious to go into this and see all right, what are they going to do now? Because they can basically go in whatever direction they want. Since they ended everything last expansion. So, where do they go from here? And the answer to that is, hey, do you like shonen? We just made a shonen. And it works pretty well, it turns out.
Nice.
Outside of the story, there is, of course, new stuff that they added into it. You get 2 new jobs. You got the Viper, which is you can dual wield swords now.
Ooh.
I not touched that at all. Since unlocking it on the first day, and was just like, all right, I'll get this at some other point. And then also Pictomancer.
That's one I heard about.
Yeah, if you want to be a paint mage, Pictomancer's fun.
Have you been enjoying it?
Yeah, it makes a lot of weird noises because you're just throwing paint at people. There's a dash ability that's basically just like Splatoon.
Nice.
It's pretty good. So yeah, all that's in there. They did a bunch of job adjustments, of course, which they always do for expansions and everything. What else did they add in here that I'm forgetting? There's of course other stuff coming later that'll be in the patch cycles. There's gonna be a new limited job with Beastmaster. But that's not out yet. That's gonna come in one of the Point X expansions, and then a whole bunch of other stuff will be in that as well. So I can't really talk about that because I don't have access to it.
Rip.
Suffice to say, yeah. But let's talk about this here story. It is a long story because it's the expansion. That's how these usually go. It took me a week to beat it, which is I don't know, probably normal-ish. There are definitely people that I know who beat it in the early access period because they are just out of their mind and just they're just no life this game for 12 plus hours a day. Also,
Nice.
I should say this was the first expansion they put out a big graphical update for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so all the characters models got updated. Some of the clothing is updated. Some of it still looks not great, but it's going to get updated in, different patches down the line and all that sort of stuff. You got dual dye channels now, so you can dye things twice. Some things, not everything, which is very nice.
Do you do like gradients?
For some stuff, I think you can. Mostly, it's just like if you have like two different things on a piece of clothing or a armor or something, like one will dye a certain color, and then maybe another part of it will dye. You can dye it a different color, essentially.
Oh, okay, so like a main piece and then like trim or something could be different
Yeah.
colors. Okay, okay, that
Or
makes
like
sense.
some things where it's like you can dye the main part, and then like if you zoom in very carefully, the other part of the dye is the thread on a button.
Wow.
It's just very funny.
Wow.
So yeah, now everyone gets to be all fancy and HDified for the first time in 11 years.
Wow.
Story though, yeah, they basically kind of introduced the story at the last, like the 6.5 story stuff that they did before the expansion came out, where you're just hanging out, and then this lady comes from beyond the sea named Wook Lamont, and she basically comes and is like, hey, I'm from this other country that's across the ocean, and I'm about to be in this like big thing where my dad's stepping down as the head of the country, and he's pitting his children against each other to see who's going to run the country now. So I've heard about y'all, and I would like for you to accompany me and help me out as we go through all this sort of stuff. And then you're like, all right, cool, let's do this. And then basically the start of this expansion is like you're just going over there and you're getting ready. You're going to go do with all this sort of stuff. So
Do the thing.
you do the thing. You head on over to Tural, which is the big new continent on the western side of the map. It is very like Central and South American based off of. Essentially, it's a lot of like their motifs, a lot of like the stylings of it, a lot of like the cultural stuff is very rooted in like all the areas you see here, which is cool because like nothing else really looks like this in the game. So like it's a something very new and different,
Mm-hmm.
which is very fun to see. But yeah, you head over there. You basically meet Wook's dad, who is Galu Jaja. He's a big lizard dude, and he's got two heads.
Whoa.
Which they basically have like this thing in their culture. It's like if you have two heads, you are called blessed siblings, and basically, if you're born like that, you have like heightened physical and magical abilities. And essentially, like he's very like beloved over there because essentially like before he came around, like all of the continent was kind of just like divided between all like the different people in their specific parts of the land, and he kind of just went around everywhere and was like, all right, we're gonna unite everyone, and that's that. And everyone's like, all right, cool, let's do that. So everyone loves him, and now he's like, I'm stepping down, and I got my kids are here, they're ready for this and everything, so we're gonna do the rite of succession, and they're going to compete against each other, and whoever wins will get to be the next ruler and have fun with all that.
Can't get past the two heads.
Yeah, he's big, beefy. You got two heads. Urgh.
What happened? Do you eat with both heads?
They're like two different personalities.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like the old cartoons where like you'd have a dragon with like the two personality type things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But still, which one eats? Do they go the same
I
direction?
think they both can eat. Yeah, they go the same direction.
Okay, so it goes the same. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm asking about their digestive systems.
So yeah, like one of the heads is called like the Vow of Resolve, and then the other one is the Vow of Reason.
Okay.
So they have like different personalities. Like the one, is more like does all the thinking and basically is like doing all that sort of stuff, while the other one's like, I can fight.
Err.
Doing all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you're gonna get ready and do all the stuff to do this rite of succession. That basically takes up the big half. The first half of the game is just the rite of succession and seeing how everyone deals with this. So you are obviously teaming up with Wuk Lamont, who is Galujaja's adopted daughter. And then the three other people that you're going against is Zerolja, who is his like actual son, because he like genetically that is his actual son. Kona, which is his adopted son, who's like a cat dude. Wuk Lamont is a cat girl, but like an actual like cat. She's a Hrothgar, but a gal version of that, which is a new race they added in with this expansion as well. If you want to be one of those. And then the fourth claimant is Baku Jaja, who basically is another two-headed dude, like Galu Jaja. He comes in and basically is very much like arrogant, cocky. He believes that because he's a two-headed, he can, he should be the next leader because, that's just the way things should be and all that sort of stuff. Kona is basically kind of just like the techie guy who wants to bring technology over to this land because he's studied over in Eorzea. Zerolja wants to bring war to everyone because it's been too peaceful and everyone should have to deal with war.
Oh.
Normal things.
Ooh. Also, I looked those up and they really are just cats.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like cat people.
Yes.
They're not like your kind of cat girl.
No. Like not like cat humans. This is like just cats.
They're just cats.
Yeah. So yeah, they do a whole big like procession of like, here's everyone out going to leave for the rite of succession, and they're gonna walk amongst the people, and everyone's got their own fans and everything. And then like once Wuk comes out, everyone's like, she's like, I mean, she's fine, but like she doesn't have like the characteristics of her like siblings or anything. So like, I don't know about her. And you're just like, hey, that's mean. Don't be mean.
Don't be mean.
Don't be mean. So yeah, this rite of succession is basically you have to go around to all the various little like, colonies and places within this continent, and you have to go up to like, there's like a person who's running a specific thing. They're going to give you like a task, and if you succeed in that task, you get a little gemstone you can place in like your tablets that you get. And the overall goal of this rite of succession is to find the fated city of gold, which has been a big rumor in this area. People believe it exists, but also people are like, that's just, a big fairy tale. That doesn't exist or anything. So,
like an El Dorado situation?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the big thing. So if whoever wins can get to the city of gold, or whoever, finds the city of gold can win, essentially.
Okay.
So basically, a lot of this first half is you just going around to all these areas and you learn about these different cultures that live in this land. And essentially, like, you meet up with, let me see if I can find every specific people in here. Every specific people. That's words.
Yep, those sure are words. I don't know if they're the words you meant to say, but they are words.
They are definitely words for sure. Let's see here. So you would know who these people are because they are like the dudes who are from Final Fantasy X, who hang out with the dudes who want you to ride the shoe puff.
Oh, wait, not the Hypelos.
No, this is like the Pella Pella. The Pelu Pelus. They're little dudes. They got like masks. They're like little like hoods, and like they got like goggle beak things.
Little beak things.
Yeah.
So it's there's one in 10-2 that is what, why can't I word either?
It's been a day.
He wants you to sell tickets for Yuna's show.
Yes, Tobly.
Tobly, yes. Did you find that?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the first base, or you can go like one of two ways essentially, but that was the first one I went to. And in this game, they're basically a bunch of like people who are like, they like run around and like they sell stuff essentially, like they're salesmen essentially. And for their right, you basically have to go find an alpaca and tame it and bring it back. That's all you got to do. But Wook does not like the alpacas because she's very tentative of them, and like whenever she gets near one, it just spits in her face. Like, oh, bleh.
Gross.
So she has to figure out a way to tame the alpaca. Along the way, you're hanging out with one of the Pelu Pelu who comes with you, and like she works at this alpaca like farm essentially, but she has dreams of becoming a merchant herself, and she helps you out and dealing with people and everything, and you kind of like help her out and like getting to fulfill her dream and like or getting to fulfill the way or not getting more confident and wanting to become a merchant. That's what I'm looking for.
Have
So,
confidence.
Have confidence. No confidence.
No confidence.
I tried to drink there and there was no drink because I didn't have my thing open.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's your first one. You head on over to another area where you get to hang out with some big bird dudes, the Vanu Vanu. Or like, it's not, they're the Hanu Hanu. They are relatives of the Vanu Vanu who are in Eorzea. They have crops that are withering, and you got to help them get their crops back. That's your task. So you basically, like everyone else kind of goes off and does their own thing. You and Wook basically come up with this idea that like, oh, they used to have this like festival and everything, and it was really nice and all that, but they haven't done it because like there was a storm that came through and it's damaged everything, and everyone's kind of like down in the dumps about it. So what if we bring back this festival and get people's spirits back up essentially? And along the way, you also learn that like this festival was a way for them to like, it's very odd, but like push like their own like I guess like magic into this big float. Not like it's a float, but like it's like kind of like a thing they hold on their shoulders and walk around, all that sort of stuff. And that would basically give like their plants energy and all that sort of stuff, and it helped like the harvest and all that sort of stuff. But since they hadn't been doing it in a while, like now the harvests are like bleh, not doing well. So you do that, and you do the festival, and then you're like, oh, hey, we got some plants back. And then your brother Kona comes up, and he's like, I'm just going to pour this solution I made, and oh, look, I made the plants good.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Nice.
So you get to do all that. You get to meet some moblins who are basically just like, hey, we like to make stuff. Also, we used to like just kidnap people to help us make stuff, and then Galu Jaja showed up and he was like, "Hey, you don't have to kidnap people." And we're like, "Whoa, are you sure about that?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Whoa, that's cool. All right, we won't kidnap people anymore." So basically, you just gotta like bring a person who can make stuff to them, and you find this dude in the like starter town, Tuliolo, and he's like, I just got here and I'm very nervous about everything. I'm gonna work here, and you help him get confidence and everything. And then you come back and like, hey, we're gonna poach you, and we're gonna take you over here, and you're gonna work over there. He's like, all right, cool.
Neat.
And then along the way as well, like you go back to Tuliolo, and essentially, Galu Jaja like calls you. He's like, hey, I love fighting. You want to have a fight? And you're like, yeah, let's fight. Let's have a little sparring match. So you fight him, and like everything's cool and everything. Do your fighting stuff. And then afterwards, he's like, hey, what do you think about my daughter? How do you think she is in terms of leadership? And you're kind of just like, I don't know yet. And he kind of just comes up with or basically describes it like, hey, this rite of procession is basically like, it is a thing where like I'm going to step down and someone's going to take my place and everything. But I want them all to go out essentially into the world and see all these different cultures, see what I had to do essentially in terms of like uniting everyone together, and to have them learn about everyone's different cultures, their personalities, how they live their lives and all that sort of stuff. So like that's the main goal of this. And that's what I wanted everyone to, to do and like be able to learn about that. So that's the secret. Anyways, see you later.
Bye.
You got more stuff to do, of course. Trying to remember if there's anyone else. Oh, you get to meet some more actual cat people. And they're like, hey, we got to make this food that is a symbol of unity between us and the Mamuja who live like southeast of us. We basically would fight all the time, and then Galu Jaja came and brought us together, and we made this food, and it's the symbol of like both of our cultures together, and it's like tacos essentially.
Nice.
So you basically have to team up with someone. You team up with your brother Kona, while Bakub Jaja and Zarul Ja team up together, and you gotta find ingredients. You gotta learn about how this food came about, and basically you gotta make it for this dude who's giving you this right essentially, and he's going to judge it whether it's like it tastes right, if it has like, you know, if you learned the history about it and like all that sort of stuff. So you get all the ingredients, all that stuff, and you make it, and he's like, heck yeah, this is great, good job. And then he goes over to the other team. He's like, I mean, this is good, but like, it's whatever. You two win, yay! And you're like, yay, we win. Along the way as well, Baku Jaja, being the real turd he is, kidnaps Wuk Lama and is like, I'm going to steal your gemstones from you. And you're like, no, we got to go help her and save her. So you go there and like we get like a big fight between Wuk Lama and Baku Jaja. And you basically get to play as her essentially, and this is like her big shonen power up moment where she gets to get new powers. She gets the power of friendship and all that sort of stuff. Because before, like, they had like kind of had like little skirmishes here and there between the two of them, and like she was not getting the better end of the deal here, and this time she's able to beat him, and he's like, I don't know about this. This is that's surprising. So there's that, and then you go to your final place, which is where the Mabuja will live, and they're kind of just like people who like live by themselves. They don't want to talk to you or anything. And the right here is basically you got to fight a version of your dad from his prime. Oh. And if you lose, you are disqualified. And the only way to go forward is to win. So like you go there and like you see Zarulja show up like at the end of his fight, and he's lost and he's been disqualified. He's just like, And you're like, well, that's not good. If he's like the best fighter here, if he lost, we're in trouble. He's had this like other dude with him the whole time who's very just antagonistic, and he's like, I will find the city of gold, ha ha, we will fight it no matter what, ha ha. And you're like, oh, this guy's probably just manipulating this other dude. That's probably what's happening. So they leave and they go off on their own. Bakul Jaja also loses, and the dude who's giving the right here is his dad. And he's just like, you got to get out of the village now because you've disappointed us. We sent you there because, you know, you were the best of our village and everything. And now you disappointed us. Get the heck out of here. And he's like, okay. Sad. And then you learn about, like, this village and everything, about how, like, it's real messed up, how they basically are, like, trying to breed to get two-headed folks so they can essentially put forward a candidate to be the next successor. And then by doing so, like, it's like a 1 in like 100 chance that this works out. So like a lot of like babies are just sacrificed because like they're just not it.
Oh.
So you go down to like this like underground part, and you meet Bakul Jaja, who basically tells you everything after you met with like his mom, who's like, we gotta change things in this village. It's not great. Anyways, let me lead you down here. And he kind of like goes into it and everything. It's just like, yeah, this sucks. I failed. I messed up. That's kind of why I was so like gung-ho about everything and like desperate and just like doing bad things in order to win, because like I had the hopes of my village on my shoulders, and like if I failed, like I failed everyone, and I failed all these dead kids as well. It's like, what do I do? And he's like, he gives you a thing basically to let you like talk with everyone, because they'll like, you just show it to them, like, oh, you have this, we can talk to you now. And he basically kind of agrees to help you out in terms of just like getting people on the side of like trying to change this village and everything. And then you got to go fight your dad, which is it's a hard task. But basically you are able to get all your friends together and fight with Wook. And then her brother Kona basically takes like one of his tablets and just shoots it. And it's like, I'm disqualified. I don't have all my tablets. I guess I can fight with her.
That's one way to do it.
That's one way to do it. So you get to fight Prime Dad and you beat him, and the guy's like, oh, I guess you can win anyways.
Anyway.
And then like basically everyone is very happy about this and all that, and then like his wife comes up to him and is like, hey, we gotta knock this out. And he's like, okay. He turns into just like a wife guy after that. It's very funny. But you have all the tablets and everything, and now you can go find the city of gold. And then you're just like, well, where do we even start with this? And everyone's kind of like giving you kind of clues here and there about it. But you basically learned that like that place underground that you had that talk with Bakul Jaja, where like, you know, the kids and everything were, there's more to that place. If you like, you go further in, there's like places they've mined out, and then like you travel down there and like everything looks real funky. Like you're about to go into the inside of a personal computer. And then you get down there to this like gate, and it's like all golden and everything. And you're just like, oh, hey, I think we did it. And then like you open up the door, there's the gate there. Like you can't really open it or anything, but you're like, hey, I think we found this. This seems good. And then Galu Jaja shows up and is like, hey, good job, you did it. Hey, let's head back. We gotta celebrate. So essentially that's your first half, is that Wuk Lamont wins the right of succession. She becomes the new ruler of Tyrell in Tuliyola. And everyone's happy on your team. You're like, yay, we did it. Woohoo.
Yay.
Kona shows up at like your little hotel room afterwards and is like, hey, she's going to like offer you like a spot in like her inner circle essentially to help like run the place. Like, I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. You know, she didn't offer me anything, which is real weird and kind of a bummer. But anyways, I just wanted to let you know about that. So you go to like her presentation of like becoming the new ruler essentially, and everyone's like, "Yay!" And she's like, "Hey,
Like
we're gonna do things." Yeah, essentially. Everyone's happy. She's happy. She's like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. Peace. I love peace. Yay, peace." By the way, Coda, you want to help like rule the country with me? And he's like, huh? What? Excuse me? Huh? And she's like, well, you know, I'm not a two-headed. And, you know, we kind of had that whole thing going with Dad. So, like, what if I'm one of the heads, quote unquote, and you're the other one? Because, like, we kind of have that same vibe going. And he's like, well, I guess if, you know, no one says otherwise, I guess I could help. And everyone's like, yay! So, like, after that, you're just kind of like, all right, well, we did our thing we came here to do. Like, what else is there to do? And, like, one of your companions, Aaronville's like, hey, there's a whole, like, other part of this continent up north that we haven't gone to. And, like, that's where I'm from. And I figure, you know, you're an adventurer. You probably want to go exploring and all that sort of stuff. So, like, why don't we just go up there and, like, check things out? And you're like, cool, let's do that. So you head up north, and then you enter. Okay, so if you're thinking about this, you know, how I've described this place or this expansion so far, and like the places you see, what would you think going north would be in terms of this continent?
I mean, going north would be like, I don't know, you said like South America, right?
Like Central South America, essentially, like Mexican, Latin America, Southern American styles.
So going north is the US. You're going to go to Texas.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's time time to go saddle up and go into the cowboy town. It's literally just the Wild West.
Okay,
like,
so I wasn't wrong, really.
No, like literally there's like the first town you go to has a saloon with the doors.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
So you go there and you gotta figure some stuff out. You help this young kid who's basically being threatened by this dude who's like the sheriff, but he's actually like leading this gang that is terrorizing everyone. So you got to help him out and restore order to the town and everything. And it all ends in like a duel, essentially. a gun duel, a high noon. They literally do the thing where like you see them like about to square off, and then like the tumbleweeds roll by.
Nice.
It's very good.
I love that they're leaning into the camp there.
Yeah, they really do. So all that gets taken care of, and you're just like, all right, you know, this has been an interesting little diversion. So like you're about to get on this train to head further north to Aaronville's hometown, and then right as you're about to do that, like a lightning storm happens. Then there's like a big arch or like a half globe. I don't know. Why am I blanking on how to describe this?
I don't know.
But it's basically like a big area that has like a barrier around it. Just shows up out of nowhere. And then you get word that Tuliyola is basically getting invaded by just random people, and you don't know why or how, what's going on. So make this more understandable, you get a scene around this time as well where you see Zaluja basically going down to where the City of Gold portal is, and he has basically stolen tablets to get in there, and also stolen this relic that allows him to essentially potentially enter into it. You're like, that's not good. Um, so he does all that. He gets in and everything, and he hears this voice. It's like, "Hey, can you help us out? It's been so long since I've been able to hear anyone. Like, what do you want?" He's like, "I want power." And also, he kills his other guy that was with him here. So
Yikes.
there goes that guy, and then he just never seen again. And it was like, oh, okay. I guess you're
Well,
not being super manipulated because this is all on you now. So that happens. That seems bad. You go back to Tuliyola, and basically people are just getting murdered in the streets, and you're just like, oh, this is real bad. Ooh. And you head back into like the where the ruler lives. I don't know what you would call that. I'm dumb. I'm brain farting.
head empty.
Head empty, no thoughts. But you head back there and you see Galujaja is in a fight with someone, and oh no, that looks like your brother Zarulja, except he looks like he just got like technologied.
Technology.
He's got all sorts of technology now, because like there's like the people they're fighting in the streets are like robots essentially, because like they have like no emotions, they aren't saying anything, and like they like get hit and everything, they just get right back up, and you're just like, uh-oh. So he's here, and now he's gonna fight his dad, and Dad's able to beat him pretty convincingly the first time. He takes him down, and it looks like he's killed Zarulja, but then Zarulja just revives and gets back up and kills Galujaja.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. That's bad. He also mentioned something very interesting, that like once he gets there, he's like, I didn't think you would still be alive, but now I have the opportunity to kill you. And you're like, that seems weird. So that happens. He leaves, and he's like, hey, I want to fight Wook. I will keep my airships in the sky. We won't invade or anything, but you're gonna have to come fight me, and we're gonna settle this in terms of who actually should be ruling this area. You're like, well, that sucks. So now you gotta like get prepared and everything, and you're gonna go basically try and find a way into that like barriered area, which involves you basically getting on a train and blowing stuff up. There's like a part where you're just like, because you get in that area, and basically like his Zorulja's army like descends upon you and tries to take you out and everything, but like you have like magical gun turrets on your train, and you're just like taking out these dudes and everything. It's very good. And then you just you get off the train and let the train ride until it blows up a door and you were able to get in. And then you fight your way through a dungeon and everything, and then you get into this next area, and it's very like just dilapidated. Everything is like run down and everything, but they're like, Arundel's like, this is where I used to live. Like I remember these buildings and everything, but they all look so run down, and that doesn't make any sense. Like everything should be fine. So you keep moving along and blah 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 blah, and then you find some people, and they're like, oh hey, what's up, blah blah blah, hey, we're just living here now, it's cool, whatever.
It's cool.
And then you meet this fancy lady whose name is Fiend. She is apparently the queen of this area. And she loves her people and will do anything for her people. She doesn't want any harm to befall them or anything. And you eventually learn that she was a queen of a place that you might know called Alexandria. And then they play some specific Final Fantasy IX music at this reveal.
I was wondering when Final Fantasy IX was going to come into it.
Yeah. So you get that revealed and everything, and like you learn about how basically Alexandria and Arundel's hometown merged into one essentially, and you also learn via like finding some other people that you know and everything that like when all this happened, like 30 years have passed in this barrier, while like outside it's been like a couple of days.
No.
So that's why like Zerolja, when he comes and fights his dad, he's like, I didn't think you would still be alive because he's been through 30 years and it hasn't been the same time outside of that. So, and he would not have known that. Um, but yeah, you learn that Sphene is also ruling this area with Zerolja. He is the king, she is the queen, but he basically wants to do like military stuff, and she just wants to keep her people happy and everything. Yay!
Yay.
Um, throughout this, you also like find a resistance band who wants to take down Zerolja. And one of them is Aaronville's mom, who's like in a little robot thing, and she's like, "Oh,
Cool.
I'm doing this remotely as to not gain suspicion and everything." That's definitely what the thing is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you get to access to Solution 9, which is that's the place that looks like the inside of a computer that I showed you one day.
Yeah, it definitely
Um,
just looks like the inside of a gamer
it very
PC.
much is. That's where a bunch of the people live and everything of this area. And you get to hang out there and see people. You get to learn about these people and like how they have like this whole soul system to where like they have regulators on their head. And if like they die, if they have souls banked up, they basically can just get revived and brought back to life.
Huh.
Um, so they have that. They also can like take beast souls, and with that they can like power up and get like more powerful to fight better and all that sort of stuff. But like you take too many of those, you might turning into a beast. Oh no! And then they also
I
have
at first heard bee.
yeah, you start turning into a bee.
You get bee souls. It's
um,
like bee?
bees.
Bee?
The other thing that they mention here is that like when someone dies and you have a regulator on, your memories of that person get taken away and
Oh.
uploaded into the cloud.
Huh.
So everyone's just
I
like,
don't, I don't love that.
this seems not great.
That's weird.
I don't like this. Um.
Nope.
So yeah, you learn all about all that other stuff, and then you find this little guy, little blue lizard man who looks a lot like a younger Zarolja, just wandering around and like following you, and then you follow him to the resistance base that's within Solution 9, and they basically tell you, oh yeah, we think that's his kid,
Hmm.
even though like he's kind of just abandoned him. They also named him Galuja after his granddad. But then you follow him outside because he runs away after hearing, because like Wook's whole thing is like, I'm coming here to kill my brother because he he invaded us, he killed my countrymen, didn't care about it, killed my dad. I got to come here and settle a score with him. I'm going to kill him. And he overhears that and runs away, and like you have to follow him outside. And then you go into like another abandoned village that looks a lot like Alexandria from Final Fantasy IX, except just run down and dilapidated. And you find him, and then like this big robot dude shows up and is like, "Hey, you being mean to this kid? I will fight you." I'm like, "No, we just want to talk to the kid. It's fine. Don't worry about it." This robot man tells you his name is Otis, and he was a knight of Alexandria, very Steiner coded.
Hmm.
If you're
I love
wondering.
Steiner.
But yeah, you get to hang out with Galuja. He's just a little guy. He just doesn't really know a whole lot of anything because like he got abandoned by his dad and just kind of just runs around, and people who try and take care of him, but he's not really like talkative. So he just kind of does his own thing. And you kind of have to explain to him like, okay, why do you want to kill my dad? And he's like, oh, he kind of invaded our country and everything, but like he's also family, so I got to figure out exactly why he's doing all this and all that. So he's like, okay, I kind of understand, but not really. I'm a child. I am a small man. I'm a little guy.
Just a little guy.
Just a little guy. You do run into Zerolja at one point, and he's ready to have the big fight and everything. And Wook's whole thing is like, she's like, okay, he's got the regulator on. I'm going to find an opportunity and break that so he can't do like a big old revival in the middle of the fight, and that way I can beat him. And then you also learn here that Sphene also worked together with Zerolja to invade Terral because they want to essentially harvest souls from people, because they also have the saying in Alexandria where they have basically a thing where like if you die you can be technically brought back to life, and just live as a version of yourself. And like they have a lot of people like that, and it takes a lot of ether to essentially keep that up and running, and they are running out, so they need to basically invade other planets and everything to essentially cause genocide and take that energy and put it into their own people. That's their plan here. So you learn that, oh yeah, she was a part of this plan as well, and you're like, okay, well, you are a stinky little stinker. And you get a little fight with Zerolja here. Back and forth action. Wook's able to break his regulator and everything, and he just like, and Zerolja's like, all right, I'm just gonna take, hey, Lieutenant Man, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna take yours. And you're just like, what are you doing? Why do you suck? You're real stinky. But basically that fight gets interrupted, and then because Galulja shows up, he's like, why are you being mean? You're my dad. And he's like, yeah, I'm not your dad. You're no son of mine.
Hey, that's a song by Genesis.
Shocker.
I love Genesis.
So you gotta go sneak in and find your way up to the top of Solution 9, and then you gotta fight Zerolja in a big old fight. He does a big transformation and everything, but you still beat him. Kick his butt. And he's like, oh, dang, I lost. Well, that sucks. Kid, you're gonna get inherited all my stuff. Anyways, see you later. I'm dead. Bleh.
Bleh.
And you're like, all right, well, I guess that settles that and everything. And then Fiend shows up and is like, yeah, that doesn't settle anything. I still want to commit genocide, so I'm gonna go and take this relic and see y'all later. I'm gonna do another fusion of planets together and all that sort of stuff to get souls. So see you later. And you're like, well, that sucks. Anyways, we gotta figure some stuff out. Basically, like how to find her and everything. And it turns out that like, hey, remember that portal down where everyone thought was the City of Gold? Well, you can open that up if you have the right combination of stuff, and then you can go to where she is and all that sort of stuff. There's a very good scene here though, like after all that goes down, and like you go back to Tuliel and essentially just informing Kona about like exactly what happened and everything. And there's just like one scene where like someone's like, all right, hey, Warrior of Light, can you describe everything that happened here? And then like it gives you options to be like, all right, here's what happened, and the other one's like, hey, teammate of mine, could you tell us what happened? And I chose that, and like you say that, and then it cuts to this character, and they just have the most like gobsmacked look on their face, like, what do you mean have me tell everyone? So funny. But yeah, you go to the proverbial City of Gold, because you go through the portal and everything, and you find Sphene, and she's like, yeah, I'm still gonna commit genocide. We're just gonna advance that process. And the thing you have to do here is basically, because this has a bunch of like the endless folk who like are, people who have died, but they are just living here now. And essentially you just have to like turn off these servers and turn them off in order to stop her plan.
Okay.
It's a weird section because like I understand what they're trying to do here, where it's like they want to really focus in on like the idea of loss and everything, and the idea of like, what if you had more time to spend with someone who had died and all that sort of stuff. And they very much beat that drum home throughout this entire section of the game. I think the only problem with it is that it really like kind of grinds the momentum of the ending of the game to a halt in a way, where because like you have to go through this entire section, and they go through that entire song and dance like 4 different times. And like there are some very good emotional moments in this section, but like after the height of like the fight with Zerolja and all that sort of stuff, and then you get to this, it's like everything kind of just like slows down in a way that's like the momentum just doesn't hold up. And like I completely get why they would do this and everything. I just don't know if this would have been the right time in the game to do it, but you really don't have an opportunity to do it like elsewhere. It's just in like kind of a weird spot essentially. But yeah, you shut down all the people, and then you got to go fight Sphene. And to do that, you go through like this dungeon where it kind of shows you like actual Alexandria and like when it was like, popping off. And then as it starts to go down as like they started getting their calamities and everything, and when things started to go bad for them and all that sort of stuff. And then you have to go fight her, and it's a big old bombastic fight. There's literally a section where like they do the hole in the wall game show thing, and you have to do the hole in the wall part. It was very, I just like, huh? Excuse me. It's very funny. But you get the fight, you do that big fight, and then like 3/4 of the way through, like Wook shows up because like all your friends kind of get like teleported out because Fiend just like deletes them and just like, all right, well you're a big nuisance and I'm gonna fight and kill you. And then she shows back up and just like, we're gonna beat you, Speed. It's very good. But you beat her and then she gets deleted and then everything's fine. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
You have to go back to basically like the Solution 9 and everything and explain like, hey, here's exactly what happens. By the way, this little guy is now the king. But we're gonna still try and help y'all out and figure things out because like you guys got a bad situation. We kind of need to figure that out. And then you just go back and celebrate because everything's fine. We got peace again. Things are looking up, I guess, until we figure out exactly what's going to happen in like the post-patch stuff because there's still going to be story with that. They did a little bit of some teasing of like they teased like the raid series, which is basically going to be like a fight club. It looks like.
Oh my god!
Funny. And then there was like another thing where it showed Sphyn's like tiara like glowing as if like there's still a version of her out there that could possibly come back. So who knows with that. But yeah, that's a very brief and
the quick and dirty.
Yeah, the quick and dirty, the spark notes about Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of people think this is a very divisive expansion.
Really?
It's a lot of people thinking that like, oh, well, you're not the main character this time, so like that means it's bad.
I mean, maybe you don't have to be the main character all the time.
It's totally fine. Like Wook's great. She's a fantastic character. Like she's very much just a shonen protagonist, and it works incredibly well. And like all the times they like bring you up and everything, they're just like, oh hey, by the way, like this person can totally just kick your ass if need be. So like, don't even try and test them. And you're just like, you sit back there and just like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm just a gremlin. And like, you know, there's the few times where like you get like, you know, you have to step up and do things yourself, and then like it totally works out well and everything. But like, this is a story about Wook's journey and like her ascension to becoming the leader of this area and everything. There's a specific word for it that I completely forget. That I saw earlier because I wanted to make mention of it because it is a good word. The Dawn Servant, that's the leader. But it's like, you know, it's her journey to becoming this and everything, and like it's also like an expansion that they kind of like talked about being like it's a, you know, hey, we get to go on vacation essentially. But yeah, like I don't see the problem of like taking a back seat here, especially because like, you know, we've been the main character for 10 years now,
right?
Like we can take a backseat and also still be very like prominent. Like we're not the main character, but like we're like the first big supporting character, and that's totally 100% fine.
We're the Junpei.
Yeah.
In Persona 3.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Yosuke, but I'd rather
we're not
be Junpei.
rolling around in a trash bag.
I'd rather be Junpei.
Trash can.
Trash can.
There you go.
Woo.
But yeah, like I don't see the problem with that or anything, and like it's just, you know, people are going to be weird about stuff, of course, but right. Yeah, I think they did a smart job of how they laid this expansion out, and just like making it just a shonen story just totally worked, and they pulled it off to a T. Like you can definitely just like look at big shonens and be like, okay, here's who each character is coded as essentially. So like it 100% works in that way. You still get to have some very cool moments and everything, even though like you're kind of, like I said, you're more in the background, but you still get to like stand there in the background and be like, don't even try me. And everyone still just gasses you up when need be. So it's just real fun. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like I said, that ending portion kind of does slow down a bit. But I think that's also just a caveat of like, by the time you're there, you're kind of just like, all right, let's power through to the end, and like the game's like no. Hang on a second. So like you just gotta go into it with the right vibes. And like I said, I've seen people who like were very emotionally like hit by that. So like it works on levels for some people for sure. So what they did there was, it worked out for those people. So like I can't fault them for that. But just for me going through, I was like, this is a little bit slower than I was anticipating. But overall, like I said, I had a great time with this. I'm very curious to see where they go forward with the rest of the story patch stuff. I would be totally content just like hanging out there the whole time, just be like, I'm on vacation, kicking back with my feet up,
Heck yeah.
just hanging out,
just chilling,
just doing my thing, eating tacos.
I love tacos.
I really hope they add an eat taco emote.
That would be great.
Oh, I guess I should also mention here, because I didn't mention it because like it's more brief, but Bakul Jaja, our friendly jerk man from the beginning, the first half of this, has a very good babyface turn in the second half, where like he kind of comes to terms with like how he was like and he like shows up when Tuliyola is getting invaded and like helps out, and then like basically like has to go to Wook and it's like, hey, I was a jerk. I'm sorry for everything I did. And like there's a good moment where like Wook's kind of like, yeah, you were a jerk. I don't really necessarily like, have to forgive you or anything, but like, hey, if you want to like help us out, like that's totally fine. And like he stays around and helps out, and like is very much like one of the first people who like puts his foot forward, like, hey, I will help you in this fight and everything, and like I'll help make sure nothing bad happens to this area or anything like that. So like it's really good. I enjoyed how he went from just like stinky jerk face to good anti-hero, I guess, by the end of it. It's real fun.
Yay.
And then also the internet's very horny for him now, so that's very
really
funny. Yes.
I've missed all of that.
It's very funny.
How did I miss all of that?
I thought that was a good turn, because like I thought by the beginning it's like, oh, this guy's just gonna just stink the whole time, but like he has a really good like gradual progressive face turn throughout it, and like by the end of it you're just like, yeah, this guy. There's only a part at the end where like he's like helping the army, like the Wook's army, and like them people fight, and he's like, one of them's like, hey, thanks for saving me, and like one of his heads is like, oh, I guess we gotta get used to being thanked, huh? And they're like, yeah, that's interesting. I kind of like it. So that was fun. But yeah, new expansion. There'll be a whole other bunch of stuff that'll come out. We got like raids and everything and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be out in the next year or so, and then I guess we'll look forward to whatever they decide to do next.
So my question is, does the Final Fantasy IX stuff even like really feel integrated, or is it just kind of there and it's like a reference?
Like a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Okay. Because the video you sent me was cool.
Yeah. Like that dungeon is really interesting, because like it's just that architecture from Final Fantasy IX. You're like, wow, this is an up-res Final Fantasy IX. Cool.
Nice.
But like it's not really like super like, oh, this is Final Fantasy IX. But like there obviously the references are there, like Otis V and the Steiner parallels, Fiend
right,
kind of being sort of like, hey, remember Garnet? Both gem names, so queens, princesses, all that sort of stuff. They literally have a thing where like they do the play in front of like that backdrop, that castle backdrop. They do one of those in this.
That's fun.
I don't think it's the same play, but like it's, obviously it is the wink and nod towards Final Fantasy IX.
Right, because the play would be, I want to be your canary. I don't know if they
do reference that at some point, but it's basically like in a side quest of just like a code word, like, hey, come back and say this thing, and one of the option you have to give them is, I want to be your canary.
Nice.
So yeah, like it's not necessarily like full on baked, hey, this is Final Fantasy IX, kind of like the post expansion stuff for the last one was, where it was very Final Fantasy IV coded. So it's more referential, but like I like Final Fantasy IX and I enjoyed the references, so
I also like Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
It's true. But yeah.
Neat.
Dawntrail, not Daybreak.
Not Daybreak. That's
as
what
I
I'm
get these
playing.
very confused all the time.
I mean, to be fair, Dawn and Day,
They
you know,
start very similarly.
it's very similar.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it. That's the new expansion. It's fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yay! You can paint people now.
Yep. Paint.
Like Realm? That's her name, right? For Final Fantasy 6?
Yes. Realm.
Realm.
But yeah, that's going to do it for us this week. Hopefully this whole thing was, or at least in terms of our audio, was good because I'm on a new setup. So who knows if it's wonky? Apologies. If it's not, apologies. I might
Why
still
would
have
you
to.
apologize for
I don't
being
know.
fine?
I might still have to tweak some settings here and there just to get everything how I like it and all that sort of stuff. So we'll have to wait
Yeah,
and
I
see.
mean, that's just the nature of new
Yeah,
setups.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's going to do it for us this week. So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. So you've got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can follow us on Blue Sky at seasonalanimecheckup.com. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early. Our monthly bonus Patreon podcast is on there as well. And just a whole lot of other bonus stuff on there for you to listen with your ear holes.
And enjoy.
And enjoy. Next week, we'll talk about, I don't know, something else. Who knows?
Something else. Who knows?